Hey, how's it going, Taka fam? Happy Easter. So today I'm here with a special deck profile, a deck I've been working on for a while. This is the one that I told you guys about, and I'm gonna show you today, so hopefully you guys enjoy. This is a Runick deck, but I'm playing a different engine that is just like the Naturia is. So let's get started. Alright, so I'm playing 3 Incredible Ecclesia. So this is basically your mole cricket, because this lone fires itself off like cricket, gives you a body, and it adds itself back like the cricket does. He summons himself at least, but this puts itself back into the hand every turn pretty much, because you're going to be synchroing it off with a lot of the Runick monsters. So the target for it, here's one of the main targets. So this is another tuner. So I know you guys have seen this card before, but this card is really good in this deck because the Runick cards banish a lot of cards. I can trigger this card a lot easily. So whenever you do synchro it off, you can just banish this from the grave or the field and just summon back the Ecclesia. Or you can summon this, the Iris Sword Soul. So this is basically your Sunflower. Serves the same purpose. Sunflower negates. This triggers if there's a monster that's negated that's on the field. And you get different benefits like drawing cards, summoning monsters from hand, or popping extra deck monsters. So I like this engine because it pretty much serves the same purpose. And then, of course, we got to play our boy. So this is another target for the Ecclesia. So with some of the combos, you do all your synchro plays, and you end up adding the Ecclesia back. And when you Runick card, use the Runick cards to banish stuff, you typically just summon the Sword Soul, use the Sword Soul to summon back the Ecclesia, and then you could tag into this on your opponent's turn to go into some fusion plays. So I think this is good as a one-of. You don't need any more. And that's it for like the Naturia-ish engine, but I'm just going to call it like the Sword Soul engine. And then for some non-engine board breakers, so these are the last 4 monsters in the deck. Cricket card is really good right now, and there's so many ways to force it, especially because you play a lot of Runick cards. This could break a Kashtira board, and of course, we all know the Raiden does. You can play any kaiju. I just chose Raiden because that's the one I had around. I have a Godarla, but I kind of like Raiden. Yeah, it's bad because it's a level 7, but since I do play Albaz, you can use this to make Lubellion, and that's how you can keep your resource loop going and keep summoning out the Albaz pretty much every turn. So that's it for the monsters. The next part of the deck is the Runick cards, which is the big chunk. So we're playing 2 Fountain, of course. Thinking about playing 3. And the most important one, too, is 3 Tips. Playing 3 Freezing, 3 Flashing, and 3 Destruction. Some of the best ones, obviously, that you can play. And 3 Slumber. This card is actually really good. So this is super good when you're going against Kashtira. You set up your board. They're trying to out your Fountain with like Unicorn. Whenever they go to battle, you just activate this, target the Unicorn. Yes, it can't die. You don't care about that. You just want to prevent it from declaring attacks. So if it can't attack, it can't kill your Fountain. So it keeps your Fountain on the field longer. And banishing their cards is really good too. I'm playing 2 Smiting. Just having more Runick names is pretty good. And the worst part, you could still deck them out. So if you run out of your whole engine and you can't put your Sword Souls and stuff, everything back in cycle, then this deck just becomes a deck out deck. So you still have multiple win conditions. The main one, you just want to do synchro climbing and stuff and out resource them. When it's to the point where they can't really put anything on the board, then we stop activating Runicks and then we start attacking. And if we can't attack, then like I said, we just become a deck out deck. 1 Droplet and 1 Dispelling. I actually like this card a lot because a lot of people are adding. Every deck pretty much adds to their hand. So there's an argument for cutting down the Smiting and playing the second one of these. And Droplet, yeah, I don't want you to draw a card, but with this card, there's 5 cards that leave the deck. So that help out with the deck out strategy. And it's pretty much a free one. You pretty much throw these ones away for the most part just to summon your extra deck monsters, pretty much. I'm playing 1 Foolish Goods. I don't think you really need too much more, but you could potentially play a second one. I just like it as like a free spell. Because there's a card that I wanted to play, but I gotta get it figured out. It's probably gonna be the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. So I could play like 1 or 2 of these and just one of those, and any of your favorite crystal beasts if you want to play that. But this searches pretty much can search your fountain if you do that play. Sometimes I like to send the fountain to the grave so that I can chain block my fountain that I have on the field to draw cards, and then use Gary to get back the one you send off this back. Terraform, because another field spell pretty much, and some more non-ninja cards. This is pretty good. I like Book of Moon because against Kashtira, this almost, it's not really a FTK, but it feels like it sometimes, because you just book their first card and then it puts them on having other cards. And then once they have other cards, then that's when the Runick cards come into play. And then the last card in the deck is Evenly Matched. I think this card's really good, especially in any type of Runick deck. Because if you go first, yeah, you might see this card, but you can always discard it. If you do go second, that's cool. Most times this deck's not going to attack. So, and you'll be skipping a lot of battle phases. So you just got to time this right pretty much. All right, for the extra deck. So for the Albaz Fusions, we're just playing these 4. So you don't really need any more. You could choose whichever ones that you want to play. I like Jade just because it's Jade. You're not going to use the other effect of this card, but depending on what Albaz sucks up during their turn, you could make one of these 2. And this is what puts back all the Albaz back into the deck, so that every turn you can keep using Ecclesia to tag into Albaz to keep trying to fuse or do anything. But for the most part, the most important one actually in this build is the Sprint. Because most times, especially if you're expecting to play against a lot of Kashtira, you just go Ecclesia. When they go Fenrir summon, you just go Ecclesia effect to tag. Yes, they'll go Fenrir 1 because they're turn player. And then you go 2, Albaz discard, you suck up the Fenrir, make this. They might end up killing your fountain, but if you have the negate Runick, then you're okay, because you could just chain Albaz and then chain the Runick to just stop it right there. And I actually like it because you can move the columns too. So if they have birth, you can pretty much keep this on the field almost the whole game and just keep moving it around and blowing up their bursts and stuff like that. So you just put them on nothing. And then for the Runicks, Moonin, and we play a Gary. I want to play a second Gary because it does come up. This is why I say you time your evenly pretty well, because what you can do is just go straight to battle phase on your first turn when you can attack. Go one of your Runick cards, since you got to skip your next battle phase. You can't skip the one you're already in, so you just go Gary and attack into their negate monster or whatever. If they have one, try to kill it. This forces the negate, and then go into battle evenly, and then you start playing during your main phase 2. And then 2 Hugin. I'm thinking about playing a third one because sometimes you use both of these in some of your combos. And then for the synchros, play a Chinging, a Coral, a Charge Warrior, Omega. This is really important in this deck. Berserker is really good too. No, I don't have a Baron, but I'll be getting one soon, so you could potentially play that too. But in this version, I see myself making a lot of 8s a lot. I make Chinging too a lot. Stardust Charge is the only one you realistically don't make as much, unless you just have one of the tuners in your deck and you have a normal summons, or you have a way that you special summon it, and then you could just get a draw off this and then use the tuner. But most times you just make the Coral. And for the 2 Xyz, play a Redoer and a Baguska. The reason why we play Redoer is actually really good because it synergizes with all the Sword Soul cards in the deck. So you go summon Redoer during the combo, use his effect, detach, banish himself, and then the Sword Soul will trigger to summon the Ecclesia right back out anyway. And then Bagusa is really good too, especially against Kashtira. Alright, so I'm going to show you a quick combo. I'm just put like 1 or 2 Runick cards down. Okay, so basically this is what you do. It depends on whatever you have in hand too. So you can activate any Runick card. So you just activate this. Summon Hugin and the EMZ. You go discard a card, doesn't matter what it is. Search your fountain with I should have pulled that out. Yeah, search your fountain. This is in the grave now. Now you go normal summon the Ecclesia. Use her effect, summon the Sword Soul. And now you can activate Fountain if you want, just in case if they do interrupt you with like Gamma or something later. You just activate the Fountain. Now you have level 6, so you just Synchro. I like to Synchro into Coral. Activate your other Runick card. So the other Runick card just could summon either this or the Gary. If you have another Fountain in the graveyard, you just go for Gary. But for the most part, you just summon the second Hugin. That's why I wanted to play a third. So you go the other blank Runick spell. If you want to search another Fountain, you can. Or you can just leave it. And then this is a level 8. So you just make Omega here. If you want, you can search the second one, but right now you'll be getting a draw. So this is where it becomes really cool, what you can do. So you can go Omega effect. You rip a card out of their hand, so now you get to see what they're playing. But because a monster was banished face up, you activate the Sword Soul. So you banish the Sword Soul, and now you summon the Ecclesia back to the field. So now you have another interruption for their turn. And if you have more Runick cards, we'll just grab another random one. We play a lot, so you might have 2 to 3. It don't really matter. So this is what I was talking about. Now you just activate this. So if you did end up searching with the Hugin, discarding a random card, getting the second Fountain, after you can get all your draws too. You can get multiple draws throughout this with all the fountains and stuff. So now you go, if you say you did search the second Fountain, so we'll go ahead and put that to the side. Sorry, this is a little sloppy, but it's just pretty basic. So we'll just activate the new Fountain, activate the Runick card, summon Gary. So now what you can do to chain block the Fountain, you go Fountain, target the 3 that you used as chain link 1, and then you go chain link 2 Gary, so now you add back the Fountain. So now whenever you draw more cards, you could potentially draw more Runick cards, and then you could keep abusing the Fountains if you need to. So now you have another Fountain in hand, and now you have another Synchro 8, and you drew 3 cards just now. So now you're going to Synchro, and now you make the Berserker. Now, if you don't want to make the Berserker, since you're going to know what they're playing, you could just overlay the 2. And you can make something like Baguska. And then have all your Runick cards. And then during your next turn, the Omega comes back. And this is where you start playing the control game. So we're going to say that we decided to Synchro again to make the Berserker. So by your turn, depending on what they do and how well you can stop them, this on your first turn is going to have a monster negate, so they could just activate something like Nib. You can just banish the Nib. This will still be banished. The Nib will get banished, and then this will get tributed off, which is fine. But if not, now you have a monster negate for their turn anyway, and the Runick card should be able to stop them. It comes back to you. You get the Omega out on the field. And yeah, you got to skip your battle phase. If I would depending on what you do not use your Runick cards if you want to attack. If you feel like you have enough to stop them, then I think you're good. So I also forgot, during your first end phase, this would have been back in your hand anyway, because this is mandatory. Every time one of your fusions go back. So that's why this is important. And if you keep the Omega alive, that's when it gets really good, because you go pass or skip your battle phase, go. During their turn, during their standby, this gets sent back into the grave. So whenever you rip another card from them, this would trigger to summon the Ecclesia back out again. So that you could just keep looping, pretty much. It gets really hard for your opponent to break. So it's really important that you structure all of your Runick cards correctly. Use them when you need to, or when you're forced to. Try not to use them as much unless you want to. But this deck has no problem with just never attacking. You don't really care. But if you want to actually do like real damage to them, that's one of the best ways to do it. Alright guys, so I thank you for tuning in. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I know this is a little different from like the normal branded content. Like I said, I'm pretty sure you guys were tired of it, so I'm just going to post something different. but this is the deck I've been working on, and it's been doing really good. It's been having fun with it. I might end up taking it to locals. So I urge you guys to give it a try. Share this video. Like, comment, subscribe. All right. Happy Easter.